Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our weekly Rotary meeting for Dublin AM Club. This morning, we're going to lead with an invocation by John Williamson, and then Dave Williamson is going to lead us in our pledge.
Okay, let us pray. We come to you this hour asking for your blessing and help as we are gathered together. We pray for your guidance in these matters at hand and ask that you clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work. Help us to work together and encourage each other to excellence. We ask that we would challenge each other to reach higher and farther and to be the best we can. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John and Dave. We're really excited to have Jimmy Snyder and Dan Tobin here with us this morning, and Calvin will introduce them shortly. I know we've got a few other guests on this morning. Would anyone like to introduce a guest this morning?
I have my coworker, Joe Dorizio, joined us this morning. We were talking about Rotary and he wanted to see the format, even if it's virtual. So welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Sinan. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here, Joe. Any other guests this morning? Be sure to unmute yourself. He's not a guest, but I'm going to call out Pete Cushney sitting there in his COVID outfit. I've never seen him without a suit on. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning, everybody. Just got off the Peloton. Feeling good.
Okay, awesome. Welcome. Any other guests? I know we have some announcements today, and I will call on Roberta first because she has an important announcement.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I sent out an email yesterday. We are collecting cans, the district, Rotary district, and we are competing against our district, the other clubs. So we want to collect as many cans or as much money as we can between now and May 31st. I put on the memo that there were 2 drop-off points, my house and Dave Bentz's house, but we've had a few other volunteers come up, so I will send out a new memo. One is going to be Lyle's house and Ramona's house. So if you have checks, we can get them to Claudia. If you want to pay by credit card, you can call Claudia and she'll process it. The district has decided that we can now use money instead of cans. So if you want to donate $100, that counts for 100 cans, which is exciting. Yay. So if you have any questions, call me, email me, text me. My number's on the email, and I will send out a clarification today. So have a great day and thank you. Any questions?
Roberta,
Yes.
Just to be clear, we're not doing weight, we're doing number of items. Is that correct?
Number of cans. That's right. So
Can of almost anything?
Can of almost anything. Yeah, vegetables, soup. They said whole meals, they need a lot. And if you don't want to do cans, you can do a check or credit card or cash. We'll take anything. So yeah, cans of anything. Like meals is mostly what they said.
Okay.
Yeah, no raiment or anything like that. It has to be a can or $1.
Pete plans on canning some bacon.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Roberta. Our club definitely is the best in the district, so we want to have a great showing on this and win this competition. There is a prize if we win, right, Roberta?
Yes, we get a $500 happy hour with Steve Heiser, or we could ask him to donate that money to the food bank. That's my idea, but a $500 happy hour, that would be great too. So,
All right, let's go for that happy hour. I would vote for the happy hour with Steve Heiser. We don't get to do that very often. Let's try to win this. $1 equals 1 can. So if you want to bring heavy cans, you can drop them off. If you want to donate dollars, do that too. And I told Roberta, if it's easy for you to bring a check and slide it under the mat on my front porch, you're welcome to do that. I'll make sure it gets to the right place. So whatever's easiest for you. Dave Williamson, you have an announcement for us this morning.
I do. I wanted to let the club know that we have elected to rent a storage unit for club materials and supplies that we use on a continuing basis. Right now, I know we have a lot of signs and different types of Rotary materials in different people's garages and basements and things of that nature. What we'd like to do is consolidate all that material and put it in a single location so that when events come up, we'll have a single place to go to. Right now, we have some stuff in members' garages, some stuff in fifth, third basement, and some stuff I'm not even sure that we have yet. But we have a 5x15 unit at Tri-Village Storage off Avery Road. And we will start leasing that unit on May the 1st. So we will be meeting at Fifth Third Bank in the morning to consolidate any materials that members may have, sort them, make sure we have a place or a capability to store them, or a bin or something to store them in if necessary. And then we'll transport all that stuff over to the new storage unit. So there'll be more information that'll be coming out with regard to if you have materials, where to take them and when to take them, so that we can bring everything together, because then we can do a solid inventory and keep a running track of what we have and where it is, that kind of thing. So that's futures coming. May the 1st, we'll start that and we'll get more information to you.
Great news. Thank you, Dave. Other announcements this morning?
Hey, Dave, this is Lori. I have an announcement for the Miracle League. They are looking for volunteers for May the 22nd. So there are actually 3 shifts, 9:30 to 1:15, 1:15 to 5, and 5 to 7:30. They're looking for folks to be buddies for those shifts. So if you could do that, please send a note to me, an email. Looking forward to it. Should be a great day. And the season kicks off, I think, May the 15th. So excited that we're going to be a part of it again. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm excited about that. Other announcements this morning? All right, I have one. Mark your calendars for May 14th. We are targeting that date to have our first meeting back at the country club. We will plan to have that as a hybrid meeting for anybody that still doesn't feel safe. But we plan to be back there. Now, the hope is to have a live speaker, and Calvin's working on that because our speaker for that day had to reschedule. But Calvin's working hard to get another speaker, and hopefully we can have a live speaker. Dave is gonna bring the Sergeant at Arms roll back that day. And maybe we can even get a table set up at the front to welcome guests the way we used to. So that's very exciting, and we'll look forward to seeing a lot of you at the country club on May 14th. I'll have more about that coming up in the next week to 2 weeks.
Hey, David?
Yes.
This is Susan. I have a couple of announcements. One, mark your calendar for June 25th for the installation dinner. It will be held at Bonnie's Barn. We're very excited about that, and more information to come, but that's a Friday night, and we are really looking forward to getting as many folks there that are comfortable to do that. Hopefully lots of you guys have gotten the shots, and we can get together again. That'll be great. June 25th, Friday night. Secondly, the Pro-Am has basically been canceled just because the Memorial Tournament still doesn't quite know how many they will allow to attend, et cetera, et cetera. So we are going to be doing a silent auction. Dave Lundgren, did you want to share any information with the folks at this point?
Yeah, thanks, Susan. We have our first committee meeting next Tuesday at 4:30. We've sent out notes to the people that were on the committee last year, so we hope you could join us. If anyone else is interested in joining up, if you just send me a note, an email, I'm in the directory. I will send you the call-in information, and we're happy to have you. So we're looking forward to it. We're also going to be looking for auction items. So if anybody has anything they'd like to donate, either money, a gift card, or an item, it's going to be the golf theme again, but we still take any items. So we'd love to have that. So we're looking forward to it. Another great year.
I would remind everyone that you all probably have a stash of gift cards that you've been given and you say you'll use, but you never get around to it. Well, hey, let's put those to use, and you can hand those over to us. We'll throw them in some auction items, make them look a little bit more attractive. But hey, don't let them gather dust. Let's use them. That's it. Thanks, David.
All right, thank you, Susan and Dave. Any other announcements this morning? Okay, then I'm going to call on Calvin to introduce our speakers for today from Dan Tobin.
Thank you, David. This morning we do have Dan Tobin, which is in Florida. So Dan, welcome and glad to have you on board. And we also have Jimmy Snyder, the general manager. Jimmy will be doing the presentation. Jimmy was born and raised in the car business, now having 50 years of experience in the industry. His father was a luxury import dealer, and Jimmy has spent most of his career in South Carolina, Florida, and Ohio. He has managed imports, domestic franchises, including Mercedes-Benz, GMC, Porsche, Jaguar, Audi, VW, Mazda, Subaru, Cadillac, Pontiac, Jeep, Saturn, Chevrolet, and Buick. He has managed dealership groups with sales volumes in excess of 100 million at 7 different locations with over 500 employees. His experience in buy-sells of dealerships with expertise in financial statement analysis. He has unique ability to identify areas of the businesses that can be adjusted in order to maximize profitability to turn a business around. The awards include Mark of Excellence Buick GMC Dealership Awards, 9 years running, Automotive News Top 100 Best Places to Work, Automotive News and Good Housekeeping Service Excellent Award, Sports Illustrated Import Dealer of Distinction Award. Presently, partner and executive manager of Dan Tobin Chevrolet Buick GMC, where he's been for 11 years. Jimmy is married, has 2 grown daughters and 2 granddaughters. He has 2 sons just out of military college and are serving currently as 2 Army officers. He resides in Delaware. In addition, Jimmy Snyder is also a past president of the North Greenville Rotary Club in Greenville, South Carolina. And he is also a Paul Harris Fellow. So this morning, ladies and gentlemen, if you would welcome Mr. Jimmy Snyder of Dan Tobin GMC Chevrolet Dealership. Jimmy?
Thank you. It is great to be with you this morning. And a few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of attending one of my former Rotary clubs in Tampa. And just to tell you, as you're talking about getting back to live meetings, they had just gotten back in the month of March to hybrid meeting in person, and they were all very excited to do that. So I'm sure you'll be the same. When Calvin contacted me about talking to you today, and I can tell you it doesn't matter whether it's a neighbor in the driveway or the Rotary meeting in Florida. As I've attended, I always get asked sitting at the table, what's going on in your business? And I don't want to give you a death by PowerPoint today, but just to kind of give you, where where we are, where we see things, and where GM is heading and the industry, I think. But, and Calvin asking me, he said, if you could talk about the market trends, the choices, and the path forward by GM. And I can tell you 13 months ago, Dan and I were in a meeting with Chevrolet leadership. They had come into town for a dinner meeting with the Chevy dealers to talk about the auto show that was upcoming. And they had just canceled the Arnold the week before. And I'm really thinking we're going to be canceled also. And every indication from everyone says, it's on. All the cars had been shipped in from the manufacturers. And we gathered for dinner that night, and it was like the Last Supper. We're sitting down to dinner as we got a phone call from the Auto Dealers Association saying the auto show had been canceled. So it took the air out of all of us and letting us know that, things are going to be different. And that they were. That was, in the mid-March timeframe. And I can tell you that the past year, you think you've been in it for 50 years, you've seen everything from the gas crisis. As I'm looking at the screen, there's probably some of you that remember the gas crisis in the 70s. And having to wait in line to get gas and running to stations before they ran out, and the long lines. And then 9/11, what a change that was for our industry. And having survived the banking crisis of, in 08 timeframe, and then you get into a pandemic, and you know that things are going to be different when some states closed auto stores completely. We were fortunate in Ohio that they were considered an essential business, and we were able to stay open and service our customers and meet the needs. But it was different. I can tell you the trend is towards trucks, SUVs. As you think back to those of you that know the franchises, Buick was noted for sedans. And today we don't even have a sedan. Everything in the Buick lineup is totally SUVs. Over the past year, we've seen the trend not only in our stores, but nationally, to where people are going more SUVs. We've seen more sports cars traded in on trucks. We traded a Ferrari in right in the height of the pandemic from a gentleman says, I really don't drive it that much and I need a truck. And he said, I'm going to tour the country and buy a trailer and see the United States. So that's kind of what we're seeing. I get asked a lot, when's the best time to buy a car? Now. The thing that we're seeing, used cars have never been more scarce, and the value has never been higher. That was our biggest scare a year ago, was the values of our, we had the highest used inventory going into March, preparing for spring. And to have the air sucked out with the pandemic, just like the stock market, our values dropped somewhere between 15 and 20% of value. It came back 3 months later. And so we didn't panic and we stayed the course. I can tell you, coming to today, the NADA reported last 2 weeks ago 2020 for the market for the industry was down 14.7% compared to 2019. And March reached a record second best March in automotive retail history. So second best, and that goes back to somewhere, I think, 2005. So that's kind of where things are today. And getting on to where I think GM is headed is their stated goal is zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion. And Dan and I attended a meeting in 2019 and hearing from our chairman saying the next 5 years are going to be more change than the last 50 years. So I'm sitting there in the meeting listening to the leadership talking about the next 5, and I always get asked today, approaching my age, is when are you getting out? You know, when are you going to stop? And I said, it would be hard to walk away today from the excitement, you know, that we're seeing in the industry today, and where it's going. Today, we have one electric vehicle on our campus, and we've had it since I think 2017. The amazing thing is that by the end of the year, we'll have 3. GM says that by 2025, we'll have 30. So 30 models that are becoming electric. The other fact that is amazing is that the electric sales in the industry was 1.9% of all sales was electric. This year so far it's 2.5. That's not a big jump. In our case, in Chevrolet sales, it's running about 8 or 10% for us. So the trend is beginning. I read an article a couple of weeks ago from someone that stated that they didn't buy a Tesla for to necessarily be going green. They bought it because it was fun to drive, and the power and what's there. And I think that's where the different brands are working towards the more power, the greater room that it affords, and the lower cost. Does anyone, just show of hand, does anybody have electric today? Is anybody driving electric here? No? Has anyone driven an electric? 1, 2, 3. I think Deloitte says in their predictions that by the year 2030, 25% of all sales will be electric. So that's a big jump in the coming years. And for, you know, Dan and me to think that we'll have 30 models, not all will be in our brand. Cadillac will be totally electric quicker than any of the other GM brands. So that's coming. But Jaguar will be all electric by 2025. Everything they build. It's hard to imagine a company with the storied history that it's got that will be there by that time frame. Volvo will be by 2030. So everyone's racing to that end. Most of the electric charging today is done at home. There's 41,000 stations for people to charge, with 98,000 outlets in the country today. I can tell you that number is going up every week. We are on our campus are looking to double our charging this year and preparing to double it again in the following 2 years. So that's kind of the magnitude of what we're beginning to see happen there. For those of you that don't know, electrics cost about a third less compared to fuel, and about a third less in maintenance. And that's not a reason to go by. And I go back to the premise that they've got to make them fun to drive and give you a reason to buy. The interesting thing is today that our only vehicle that we have that's electric today is around 260 miles on a full charge. The Hummer, which many of you may remember how it used gas back before it went away, will have up to 400 miles on a charge. It's hard to believe that it's coming back as an electric, and we'll have 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. That's faster than Dan's Corvette. So we'll be ready to do a drag race, a Hummer against a Vet, but a lot of fun coming in that vehicle. And it sold out the first year production in 1 day. So that tells you the excitement that's there and the engineering and the fun to drive that's coming back. One of the things that is also happening that you're seeing politically, the state of Washington just last week moved that there'll be no combustion engine car sales new in the state of Washington starting in 2030. California is 2035. And the 2 senators from California have petitioned the Biden administration to push forward for that to be a national goal to where everything will be electric by 2035. GM has adopted that same goal to be totally electric, 0 emissions, 0 crashes, and by 2035. And so the technology appears to be gaining fast ground, and I think that Dan and I are looking forward to the excitement of the change. It's I wasn't around when the cars started, and I can imagine. I do remember going with my parents to Florida and seeing signs that the last gas station for 200 miles, that you won't have another chance. And I think the interesting thing is just beginning to see where we're headed as a country and in the electrification era. Their Biden administration is in this proposed bill that he's got there today to put in 500,000 charging stations across the United States. General Motors is partnered with EVgo and Bechtel Corporation, which is one of the largest construction firms in the world, and looking at how they partner with infrastructure to be a part of that. I met with AEP probably 2017, 2018, and their planning is to wanting to help in the connection for people that wanted to up the charging capacity at home. Most of the people that we have sold electrics to tell me when I ask them about it, and I have a number of people on our team that drive electrics, that they have never had to use a charging station because they use it just for around town and commuting. One of our team members has a Bolt and a Corvette. And she said that I charge my Bolt somewhere around 1 to 2 times a week, and it gives me enough to drive to work, do my errands. And that's really what everyone's got to weigh is how much driving do you really do? And one of my best friends has a Tesla. We go to lunch about once a month together, and he always insists that he drives because he wants to tantalize me with what his Tesla does. And I told him when we get our first Hummer, I'll start picking him up and I'll take him to lunch. But he loves showing me how fast the 0 to 60 is, and the communication and things that are going on within the car. So it's going to be a fun time in the industry. And I think that's why, Dan and I are still doing what we do. We like what we do. I'd like to just take a minute, share my screen, and then I'll answer questions. But I think, one of the things that's GM was invited to the Consumer Electronics Show. It's one of the biggest shows in Las Vegas every year. And GM has used that platform to introduce technology and new innovations that are coming. And this year they had the platform to kick that off, and it's a 3 or 4 day show, and people come from all over the world. And I'll share a little bit of that with you in just 1 second. But I think the excitement that is coming from the innovation side is pretty incredible. So I want to just show you quickly. And Ron, hopefully we get this right.
There are moments in history when everything changes. Moments that become the dividing line between the before and everything that comes after. They are the moments when the clock resets to 0. When a new way is suddenly the way. This exhibit celebrates one of those moments. The moment General Motors announced the Ultium battery platform to pave the way for an electric future for all. Welcome to Exhibit 0.
And this is the platform.
At first, electric vehicles weren't for everyone. But then came the Ultium battery platform. Suddenly, EVs became more than a type of car. They became any type of car. For the luxury level, the off-roader, carrier and the early adopter. And sometimes they became something else entirely. As more EVs fill more driveways, Ultium will pave the way for GM's vision of an all-electric future. This is the Ultium battery platform. This is year zero.
So that's kind of the future. If you want to go there, that you could spend probably 2 hours in getting educated as to what's happening and where it's coming. But I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
I have one.
Yes.
Right now, electric cars are quite a bit more expensive than internal combustion engines. So when is your opinion that they'll reach parity in price?
I think in the next 12 to 24 months. Right now, the price of the Bolt is highly incentivized as some of the rest. Tesla has been gaining cost improvements. And I think too, in the Biden plan, there will be incentives to the manufacturer and to the customer to buy electric.
So model year 2024 or 25.
Yes.
Okay. And then what about the economics of dealerships? You know, your economic model is, I don't think you make that much money on new cars because there's so much competitive pricing and invoice pricing. So a lot of your model depends on service and the recalls and that sort of thing. You know, and these things frankly don't need any of that.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge going forward. I think I shared that the cost to maintain is about a third what a normal vehicle is. The combustion engine. Frankly, Dan and I won't have to be worried about that because the combustion engines will still be around to 2050 is the projection. So it ain't gonna be my problem, but I think it is changing. When GM says their goal is to have 0 crashes, they truly feel that they can attain that goal with the technology that's coming. There's still, human error, but the autonomous vehicle is had great success in the past year. I didn't talk much about that, but with the pandemic, I think it's helped a lot of testing because there weren't a lot of cars on the road. So they've been able to run more tests and have more success with that. I saw the other day where one of the Saudi countries, I think, is going to have 400 of them running around as Ubers, if you will, with no driver. And that's coming from Cruise, another company that GM is partnered with.
It's going to upset the insurance industry.
I know.
Buy car insurance.
Well, that's what happened this past year. If you, it was kind of eerie driving to work. I'm sure you, ladies and gentlemen, had the same experience. But I drive some days coming to work and pass maybe 1-2 cars. Felt like I'd been left behind. It was eerie. And our body shop is probably the most affected department that we have today. It's still not back up to capacity, period. And we're seeing more wrecks as people are getting out and about. And hopefully, we don't want anybody to have a wreck, but if they do, we want to fix it right. Someone said, just got a pop-up on hybrid. We do not have hybrids. It'll be, GM is going strictly electric. I didn't mention Toyota will have somewhere around 7 to 10 electrics by 2025. And they are going in a different direction at the moment with hydrogen and continuing some of the hybrid type forms. Somebody said, do you think the power grid will be ready for all electric? AEP says they will. That's for us locally. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I'm hearing that's should be fine.
The problem is your house. You can't charge your car and run the electric oven and run the electric dryer all at once.
Yeah, but most people charge their cars at night when a lot of that's not happening.
And I
you
think
get
the
a
car,
lower,
and the car can figure that out too.
yeah, but a lower cost from what AEP tells me if you charge in the evening hours overnight. When I drive to Florida, I drive 16 straight hours in an electric car. How long would it take? Interesting. My wife and I, while our 2 sons were at the Citadel, we drove most times because I have family along the way. But it was an 8 to 10 hours. But we've always had a rule when we drive. We drive for 2 hours, switch, take a break. And the charging that's coming with the Ultium system will be able 10 minutes of charge would give you 90 miles. They're saying somewhere around 400 miles on a full charge. You'll begin to see places, restaurants that will have the fast charging, rest areas. You don't see gas stations usually. Some states there may be one connected. There are gas stations that are already beginning to switch in some areas away from gas pumps to electric. And with fast charging, it's going to help the system. So my friend that has the Tesla did his trip to Georgia, which is not Florida, but it's close. And he said it took him an extra 45 minutes to an hour more than it normally used to in his regular vehicle. And so it's just learning differently. The interesting thing, the apps that are out there telling you where gas stations are, I'm sure some of you are in the Bridge Park area, and some of the best parking areas have chargers. You know, your stop for lunch, you can charge. If it's an hour, you can get more than 90 minutes, 90 miles. So it should be not that big a deal. Can the batteries be recycled? I'm told yes. I'm not an expert in that area, so I can't answer that emphatically. Any other questions?
Jimmy, I've got a comment if I may.
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank you and thank you on behalf of our Rotary Club and others, the Delaware Chamber, and you all have been so supportive of the community when there's been various needs. And that's certainly appreciated by so many. And we want to thank you and Dan for that continued effort. My question is it true that Calvin's the first one that ordered the Hummer so he can be racing around the streets of Powell?
You know what? I haven't seen Calvin's name on the list, but I'll go check it and report back. I will tell you too, there is no, one of the big things in our industry is auto shows. And I can't remember a time in my 50 years in the business that we didn't have an auto show last year, and there's not one this year. Dan and I have enjoyed going to the Detroit Auto Show to see the latest and greatest. And there's not one this year. So 2 years in a row, no auto show. So you guys have a great opportunity in September with your auto show of old cars, and hopefully we might be able to bring an electric there, do something to be a part of your show. But very happy to be with you today, and thank you, Calvin, for inviting me.
Okay, well, we are out of time, and Jimmy, do you got a Jimmy or James?
Jimmy.
Jimmy, well, thank you for your presentation today, and thank you, Mr. Tobin, for being on as well. Wow, big changes coming. At this point, I think I may be that guy, that old guy in 2050, the only one driving the internal combustion engine, but you may be able to change my mind. We'll see. But thank you for your presentation. It's exciting what's coming. Next week, we will hear from Jenny's Ice Cream. So be here for that. And that's too bad we can't be in person next week to have real ice cream, but maybe bring your own ice cream to the meeting, and let's celebrate Jenny's Ice Cream. And our quote this week is in the spirit of the word of the week, which in the press has been justice. And this quote comes from Maya Angelou. She says, "It is impossible to struggle for civil rights, equal rights for Blacks without including whites, because equal rights, fair play, and justice are all like the air. We all have it, or none of us has it." That is the truth of it. Thank you, everyone. And everyone have a great weekend. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Bye.